Hey, what's happening, everybody out there in the XRP community? Welcome back to Investment Perspectives. Before we get started today, I want to say that in case you're wondering, or in case you want to help support the channel, we did start a t-shirt store, but it has one shirt. It's a shirt for the channel. But if you're interested in supporting the channel, or you just like the merch and you want to get some, the link will be underneath of the video and the videos going forward. And by the way, if you're interested in looking at any of the legislation that we have, they are in a link under all of our videos since the legislation have come out. And a big thank you to WB, Chinese Bamboo. Been a big help, just behind the scenes researcher, really heavy in the XRP, and constantly sending me great information. And whenever we can, we try to get it all in. And this is definitely something we wanted to make sure that everybody got a hold of. So, okay, so the video for today, and by the way, you can follow me on Twitter, Backup Bradley at BAKKUP Bradley, no spaces. All right, so let's get into this thing. The theme for the day is, will the United States adopt XRP? So we know that we have the Token Taxonomy Act we're waiting on, right? Okay, so now I saw an article today, and I'm going to see if I can move through this stuff smoothly and take us to the end here. So I saw an article today, livemint.com, put out an article, and the title was, the US dollar share of global currency reserves hits a near 5-year low. I don't know about you, but I mean, these are the signals that I see that says, you know, this dollar global crisis thing is becoming more and more predominant in the media and just an everyday read almost now. So, okay, so now when I look at this, and by the way, for anybody who's not familiar or the stuff that just sounds a little confusing, because I know most of us on this channel know what global reserve currency is, what it means, what it insinuates, what it covers. So, but in general, global reserves in general are assets of central banks held in different currencies, primarily to support their liabilities that they have. So it's, you know, cover their payments daily for whatever countries they do business in. So, by the way, when I was looking at this article, livemint.com, I found it interesting that they sourced this information about the new 5-year low on the US dollar being held in the different accounts of central banks from the IMF, which I just found interesting because we know exactly how bullish and how Christine Lagarde, the managing director of the IMF, feels about digital currencies. They are very bullish on that. So, okay, keeping it moving. Then I saw another article that we had somebody sent in, and I believe it was Patrick DeWolf in the comments below the last video. Great stuff, Patrick. Shout out to you, buddy. It was an article from Brussels Times, and he happens to live over there. So big shout out to you and all your peeps over there in Brussels and Belgium. The title of the article was Instant Payment Postponed Till January. And now it did cite inside the article, according to Febelfin Banking Federation, and I hope I'm not train wrecking that. And forgive me if I have, but the banks that were named in the articles as I read through that were going to be converting to this instant payment, and then they go on in the article to basically describe Ripple and XRP without saying it. But that's pretty much what the description looks like when you read through it. But at any rate, the banks that were cited and named specifically in the article were all European banks. This begs the question, you know, will we see the same thing roll out in the United States? Now, like I said, we started off, we had the Token Taxonomy Act that we're all still waiting on. And in general, we're waiting on the United States for regulations, period, right? Okay. So let's keep it moving here. So the reason we're coming together and asking all these things in general is because I saw another article, and it's on my Twitter. I don't remember it right this second who put it out, but it was a smaller publication, but it ties into some of the other things that we've seen in the news. It talks about the current U.S. administration not happy about the Chinese domination in Bitcoin, let alone the devaluation problem that's got us into a U.S. trade war, right? So, and then it goes on to ask, could the U.S. be planning to use and or adopt XRP in opposition of Bitcoin and China's huge manipulation of Bitcoin? And then in the article also, it did go on to talk about how Ethereum wasn't much better and how a large part of that control and manipulation is taking place out of China as well. So, okay, so now we do know that Ripple as a company has met in the White House with different levels of administration, although we don't know exactly who, right? So now, let's go to Corey Johnson, because Corey Johnson has talked about this some. I looked at a couple interviews that Corey had done, and I believe one was back in October, right after Swell Conference. But he was asked, and I believe it was the source, if I'm not mistaken, was Breaker Mag, I believe. So he was asked about how the Trump administration feels about a product like Ripple. Now, I'm going to read exactly what he said, because first of all, I don't want to get it wrong. And I just think it's important the way he says it. So let's take a look at it. He's asked, this is the question he was asked by Breaker Mag. Do you have a sense of what the Trump administration thinks about a product like Ripple? His answer: when I started to meet with people in government and regulators, I had very low expectations. I've been truly amazed at the open-mindedness, number one. And number two, the smart questions, sometimes even tough questions. There's clearly a lot of homework going on. The White House in particular seems to be thinking about what it means to have 80% of Bitcoin mining taking place in China and the majority of Ether mining taking place in China. So they're hip to it too. He goes on to say, when you look at XRP, there is no mining. So from a foreign control aspect or from an environmental aspect, XRP is a very different beast. And in conversations we've had with the administration, they seem to get that and think that that matters. That might matter. That's a pretty powerful statement. You know, he's not talking to you or I. They're talking to the United States Trump administration that's currently running the country. And the big finish on it is they seem to get that and think that might matter. And we all know that the manipulation of Bitcoin and Ethereum, by the way, is very, very real. And we all know that, you know, that doesn't and never will be able to be a currency with that kind of serious manipulation. So, I mean, it really does bring us back to it, right? Will the United States adopt XRP? You know, we know certain things. Like we know that the United States is also the sitting president on the FATF, which is the Global Oversight Committee of all the global exchanges, which are in complete compliance. And we know that from the most recent last G20 summit meeting, right? So, you know what? I just want to point to how I'm seeing this and how this stuff starts to show itself. I started going back and looking at articles and comparing it against today's news. I learned that from a dear friend of mine that I just spoke to yesterday, CKJ from Crypto News. And I just got to say, you know, and I know people, I've said it on here and I'm going to say it again today. He is the best investigator in the XRP community in the YouTube space, period. I have learned an immense amount from him just on how to look at the news and to pull the things out, and more importantly, about how to go back and compare it against today's actions about yesterday's news. So it's really powerful, and a big shout out to my big Ripple brother, man. I appreciate you so much, man. So anyway, all right, so moving on and getting into this thing, the world is waiting on the United States for U.S. regulations. That's the bottom line. Right? We've talked about the 200 partnerships. We've talked about the oversight in the G20 and the FATF and all of the other things that we've seen. We've seen the CFTC. I put a video up, like one of my first or second or third video, a little short clip of the CFTC, and read their PDF file where they are talking about implementing distributed ledger technology. which at the time of the panel of the Federal Reserve Payments Task Force, the only one being considered for modernization was Ripple, that had distributed ledger technology. So, I mean, this is pretty powerful stuff. I mean, I feel like, again, this goes back to what we asked in the last two videos. Will we see like a rollout after the U.S. legislation drops here? Because it's obviously the other shoe to drop, right? So will we see that happen? And once that happens, will we see an unveiling? Or, my God, as big as this thing is, it'd almost be a coronation, wouldn't it? All right, guys, I'm going to cut it right there. Leave the likes, hit the likes, leave me some comments. You all are so smart, man. I mean, this last video, wow, you guys put some stuff forward, and I just loved every bit of it, and it really sent me back down where I went today. So you guys really do push me to keep going, even at times when I feel like I'm at a wall to where to see our investment or what's coming next. But at any rate, guys, we're approaching the end of the year. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. I don't know if I'll get a video made before then, but if I don't, I hope everybody has a great happy New Year's Eve, a safe one. And I am so looking forward to 2019 and the way we are going to move forward with our investment. There is big things coming. I really do believe that. So, all right, guys, hit the like and subscribe. Leave some comments below. We just hit 2,900 subs. Let's go 3 grand. Let's see if we can't hit 3K subs before the end of the year. Wouldn't that be incredible? I mean, that would just be incredible if we did that. All right, guys, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.